Hey everybody, welcome back to the Up and Am Show. We're here doing take two because my Wi-Fi sucks. And guys, besides all that, we have a great episode in store for all you guys today. For anybody new joining in, please hit that subscribe button and like this video because we have a great interview for all you guys. A very inspiring and motivational story by the great Denise Fleming. So I'm pleased to welcome Denise to the show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. And I'm so excited. We're rocking and rolling again. We're going to get this going. You know what? It's like, when life throws you obstacles, you got to just keep pounding at them. That's it.
Yeah, keep going, man.
That's it.
It's all good.
I'm excited. So, again, before we get into the show and before we get into everything else, kind of introduce yourself to the audience and kind of tell everybody what your story is. Because, like I mentioned last time to you, we spoke on Clubhouse, and I was introduced to you by Melissa Prophet, who's my manager, and she's great.
Okay.
And the story that you told me on Clubhouse was very inspiring, which kind of drew me towards you. So yeah, if you can share that a little bit to the audience, I think they'd really like that.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure quite where to start or where to end, but I will just say that I grew up in Orange County and by the beach with an Italian family. Lots of love in the family, lots of good food, plenty of friends. Life was great. And I have two older brothers. They were my best friends. My parents got a divorce when I was like 7. So there wasn't too much guidance in the house, too much. My mom was brokenhearted. I get it. My dad was, moved on. And I think there wasn't, like my brother started selling coke at the time, cocaine. It was, the trend during the 80s. So it was just something that was around us. And I think, he was battling with addiction, selling. I looked up to my brother. I had no judgment towards him. I ended up dating one of his friends who was also a dealer. Mm-hmm. And you know what they say, you are who you become around. So I became a drug dealer myself, a very successful one. We were selling, kilos, going across international borders. It got completely insane. I mean, young teenagers, 16, 17, and we're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. So wow. It was nuts. Yeah. I had a lot of fun, but, obviously it's a destructive lifestyle. We really had a lot of fun, though. I will say that. But what happens is, I got out of it. Me and my boyfriend broke up, and, life continues. But it was something that happened later on. When I was in my 20s, I ended up dating a guy, and, I was brokenhearted over the guy before. I just didn't care, and he ended up being a drug dealer also. And I didn't care. I didn't care what he did. It didn't matter to me who he was. It was just like, whatever. It wasn't a long-term thing, but I did end up saying that I could, get something that he was looking for cheaper, just to help out, as if I was like, hey, Adam, you know what? I have a good agent for you, or I got a good interviewer for you. I wasn't really thinking. It was just like, fun party girl, right?
Yeah.
So, Jesus. So anyhow, it ended up becoming something super huge that I didn't even want to get involved with. Murders happened, dirty FBI, agents, and it's a really crazy story. But the bottom line is I ended up, my boyfriend at the time told me to go to Hawaii with one of his friends who was carrying his crystal methamphetamine. And I was like, this is crazy. I'm out. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm not going to be around when any drug deal takes place. I'm not sitting next to the schmuck on the plane. I want nothing to do with it. And he's like, okay, no worries. And it was like a lot of coercing, like, I'm going to meet you. We're going to go horseback riding, like the devil had his horns in, right? Yeah. And he was just like, come and fuck your life up. So anyhow, that's what I did. I got on the plane, didn't sit next to the guy. But when we landed, I was grabbing my luggage, and the princess that I am had a big bag, and he saw me struggling with it. And he's like, I'll carry it. Here, just carry the tennis racket. And I was like, okay, like, carry my bags, bitch, So I go off the plane. I'm thinking life is great. Where's my pina colada? And then the DEA come. Dogs, the works, can we check your bags? I'm like, no, I'm not going to say yes. And then he looks bad saying no. So I just said no, like, that's just protocol, right? Yeah. So they put us in different rooms. Finally, I was like, no. And they're like, listen, homeboy's talking, and I was like, yeah, sure he is. That's just what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah.
But he was. But anyhow, they were like, unzip the bag. If there's nothing in it, sign your search warrant. You can go home. And I was like, I'm signing. I'm out of here. Poor bastard. Sign the search warrant. They unzipped the bag and they pull out his jacket that had, I don't even know, 2 to 4 pounds of crystal methamphetamine. It's been so long, I actually have to look at my court paperwork to see what was in there. Like, anyhow, make a long story short, I was looking at maybe 15 to 19 years in prison with the federal mandatory minimum laws. A lot of fiasco went down. I ended up getting 7 years in federal prison. And the guy I flew with, who testified on the stand saying I knew the drugs were in my bag, which I didn't, ended up getting 7 months in jail. So fun times.
Wow, that's a crazy. I was, I was gonna say, because you mentioned crystal meth and stuff. This is like the Breaking Bad of real life, essentially.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm drinking my coffee. My coffee cup says "Wipe out Hawaii." That's me.
That is yeah. This episode is brought to you by. This episode is brought to you by the Hawaii.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways,
that's a crazy story, and it's. What's really crazy is that, so I want to go back to about your youth too, because you mentioned that, your whole life, you kind of, again, your parents were divorced, you said, and, that was probably hard on you. And then coming from a family where your brother was selling, using, and then you dated, 2 people that essentially were in that kind of life. Right. So It's almost as if, like, again, you could be a strong-minded person, but at the end of the day, if you're surrounded by that stuff, it's very true. You are who you hang out with at the end of the day. True. And I went when I was in high school, I smoked weed. I smoked cigarettes. I used to drink, go to parties. I used to be like, nothing crazy, but a little more than the average teenager does a bit. And, I used to kind of do some crazy shit with my friends. I have a crazy story I'll quickly share right now. One time, my friends and I went to this Airbnb party in high school, and we literally stole a 50-inch flat screen TV and we put it in my trunk and we just threw it off the highway and we just smashed.
Oh, God.
Yeah, but who does that? You see what I mean? Like, it was stupid. So and now looking back, it's like,
I didn't hit a car.
Sorry?
I said, thank God it didn't hit a car, right?
Thank God didn't. Yeah, and thank God it didn't hurt somebody. Yeah, exactly. So, but it goes to show that you go through these things in life, and they can either do 2 things for you. They can either teach you a lesson, or they can kill you, or actually 3 things, and then or they can put you in jail for the rest of your life. True. So, like you mentioned, you were looking at the time, like what, 15 to 19 years, you said, right? And how long did you actually spend in prison?
Like 5.
5 years.
I took a drug. Yeah, I was enrolled in a drug program within the facility. So if you graduate from that, they'll take a year off your sentence. So.
Yeah, but still, 5 years is a long time. Like I can't even imagine myself being in jail for one week.
Dude, it is a lot of time, man. A lot of Christmases, like every single day, and you just look at your life. And I was in the prime of my life. It was like 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33 I was in. And it's like, those are the times it's like, oh my God, your college years of who you're going to become, and then when you get out, there's just like, you go through a lot of, oh my God, I could have been this. I should have been this if I only did this. And there's so much shame and guilt and stigma that comes along with it. So
I agree. And like, I guess, what I have to ask for you is that when you got busted, that initial moment, and then you were knowing that you were going to go to jail, what was your initial reaction? Because, the way I think about it is that, because, you were this type of rebel person, you were this drug dealer. Did you have this mentality like, oh, I can handle prison, fuck this, I could do it? Or were you actually like, when that happened, did it hit you hard? Like, holy shit, I messed up bad, I'm going to jail. Like, how was your initial reaction?
I remember making jokes before I got arrested, like, oh, fuck it. I was kind of an asshole. Yeah, I would be like, oh, fuck it. I can take a break. I can, all you guys are nightmares. You know what I mean? Like, I can handle a little time. But I'm talking like, I actually I actually got a drunk driving. So I was looking at a little bit time before I got arrested, and I was like, oh, fuck it, I can do 10 days, but 10 days. Now we're not talking years. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when they first put the cuffs on me at the airport, I was in denial. I was like, this is not my drugs. I'm already out of this stuff. I was in complete denial. There's no way this is going to stick. And it just, and even if it does, it's like, my brothers, when they got in trouble, they got to go to rehab, like something, pick up trash on the freeway. What do you mean all this time, So I feel like people don't even really know the law nowadays. Like these kids that are selling drugs, they don't realize the severity of the law. And I didn't,
Yeah, and I guess what would you give? What would you get? What kind of piece of advice would you give to people that are in this type of life that are making bad decisions and stuff? I mean, because a lot of times, listen, again, like you doing that stuff as a kid. If someone told you at an older age, saying like, "Don't do that. It's gonna harm you one day," you're gonna be like, okay, screw you. All right, thanks, Grandpa. Yeah, like you're not gonna pay attention. So I guess what could you tell somebody since you've been through it? Like, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say two things. Like, first of all, doing it, like, why are you doing it? I feel like, I think, we can all look within and find something else and another avenue to make money, because money is only an energy. Money does not make you happy. It's really truly believing in yourself, whatever your talents are, even if it's drawing, believe in yourself that we've all been given gifts in this world. So to go for your big dream. So that's one. Two, I would say, like I said, like my drunk drivings and little hit and runs and little teeny things that you're doing adds up. So when you get into like this big trouble, all of a sudden they're like, you're 3 strike. I can't tell you how many people are in prison right now for life over something so stupid. Like the laws are really bad. It's not like it used to be. It's very dangerous, and using drugs is dangerous. It's not like it used to be. I mean, there's so much shit that's cut within,
like
drugs.
fentanyl and stuff too is a big thing.
My brother died from that,
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know.
Yeah. He, thought he was snorting like coke or meth. I don't know, but yeah. So it's really, it's a dangerous world. It's not like it used to be. So,
well, yeah,
I had fun drug dealing, but you guys can't.
Yeah, I know. And my dad told me one time, we were sitting down at the dinner table and he was telling me a story. He was like, yeah, he's like, back in the day, he said like people can not that he did, but I'm talking like maybe like 60s and the 70s. You can drive drunk, and if you got caught, the cops would just, I forgot what they would do. They would just drive you home or something like that. But you wouldn't get a DUI.
Yeah.
So it was different. That's the crazy thing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. I mean, like, so, with police, I think that's changed too, right? There's a lot of, I mean, look at what we're seeing on the news now. People getting pulled over for a little minor ticket and guns are drawn. There's a lot of violence, there's a lot of hate. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of fear out there. Yeah. So I just think, we just need to like focus on love, man. Focus on healing. Focus on believing in yourself, right?
Absolutely. And during your time in prison now, because after all this happened, you ended up going to prison, and you ended up being cellmates with Heidi Fleiss, which you told me about, and that must have been a crazy experience. So you must have had a lot of experience with her, and like just learning a lot of things, hearing her side and everything with all the stuff that's going on. So what was your experience even like just rooming with her? Did you learn a couple things? Did you like get to learn a different side of who she really is too?
I did. I mean, Heidi's awesome. I love Heidi. I was actually excited. Like, it was one thing that made prison fun, because I got separated from all my friends, and they brought me to another one. And I was like, well, at least Heidi Fleiss is here. I hope I get to meet her. I had no idea they're going to put me right next to her. And, she was like a breath of fresh air, because we both came from LA. We actually knew some of the same people. And we both been to the same, clubs or things. So we really hit it off automatically. She actually taught me a lot. I don't know if I could talk about it during this Zoom right now. It's very sexual, but just kidding. Ooh. But she did tell me some things in her little black book. But we had a lot of great conversations. She's actually honestly, a really sweet, generous, kind person, where it was almost like people would take advantage of that. They would always ask her for things, and she would always give. And people don't see that side of her too much. It's like, they see that boss, that money, that, she's really she's so sweet. I really love her. And I did get to see that vulnerable side when she's sober and she's, and she's meek and, and we had so much fun together. We worked together in the kitchen. We caused a lot of problems together. She was great. And we're
That's
still
awesome.
great.
The two peas in a pod, eh? You guys just, that's it.
It was great.
That's awesome. And like, well, my biggest question is about the prison stuff is that when I see stuff like, for example, Beyond Scared Straight, okay, I see like how things really are, and people get like woken up, they go like, wow, this is really messed up. Your experience in prison, I again, being with Heidi, actually helped you cope and stuff like that with all the struggles. But what was your overall experience being there? Like, was it as bad as you thought? Was there?
Yeah, for sure.
How did you feel? Like, how did you feel? It was bad, right?
It's a horrible place to be. It's horrible. I mean, I was transferred to different facilities. Every facility had its own pros and cons. I was at one that was very gang related, another one that was just like you felt like you were on a street corner, just like it was just nasty and dirty. And I was like, oh my God, and how did I get here? And I'd call home and they're, at the Italian cafe, I would call my mom where she was working and they're just like, oh my God, like what happened to my life? It's horrible and it's scary and it's lonely. And, and I didn't get sentenced till 2.5 years into it. So I didn't know how long I was going to be stuck there for. And every day ticks by slowly. And it's scary. Like I went to Con Air and there's like rifles and machine guns pointed at you. And it's like, and you're walking through airports just in shackles and chains and you're humiliated and it fucking breaks you down, man.
No,
it breaks you down.
I can totally understand it. Like I can't even imagine that, honestly, like how bad it must be. And that's why it's nice that you're sharing this story. Cause I know many people hopefully when they watch this, if they're doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, they can open their eyes a bit and say, this is not, I don't want to go through that path because it's not fun. It's not worth it. And, throughout all this bad experience, this is where I guess the good comes in, right? Like, when did you have this epiphany when you thought to yourself, I want to change my life for the better? Like, what was that moment like for you? And when was that moment?
Well, I'd like to say when they first put the cuffs on me, it was like, I'm gonna change. I'm so different now. I'll never sell drugs again. But the reality was my mentality at the time, I remember being in the cell going on the side. I actually did like 20 days and I was crossing it off as like, oh my God, people are going to think I'm so cool. Like, it's so stupid, like cool for being in jail. It's like, so your brain is just, I don't know. It's just so different. And then, once you're in there in years and those friends are not even your friends anymore. Like you don't even know, like your whole life has changed. Mm-hmm. And like I said, you have so much regret and you put your family through so much and there's just so much shame. And I remember just being in a cell and I was at my lowest, and I was in the cell probably maybe 22 hours a day. Like just you're in the cell, you get out to just for like maybe a couple hours to watch TV, do a quick phone call, get some hot water for your top ramen or whatever. And then you're back in the cell. That's all I had. And it wears on you, man. So I had like this teeny little slice out of the window and it was all like, you can barely see. But on one side of the street was a Mexican cantina. And I used to see people just cruising in there, laughing and just hand in hand. And I used to just look and just be like, oh man, it was just a reminder of how my life was. Like it was fun. I had friends. Like I want food so bad. I'm so effing hungry. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I would love a margarita. And I was just so bummed out. But at the other side of the corner was a homeless shelter and, rain, children, people who didn't have anything, exchanging needles, it was, and I had this whole epiphany moment. Like I can focus on what I had, what I screwed up, or I can focus over here. And it's your mindset, right? I can go negative. I can dwell on the past, or I can flip the switch and I can move forward and say, you know what? I'm grateful that I'm alive. I'm grateful that my family's alive. I got out of this, right? I'm reading the Bible. I started feeling peace and, having that comfort, from the Holy Spirit. And I just, I decided, you know what, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy for my blanket right here, my itchy wool, disgusting blanket. I'm going to be happy that I'm in a cell. I'm safe right now. No one's going to beat the shit out of me right now. You know, even though it's lonely, I'm okay. I have got air to breathe, you know, and I'm going to make it. I'm going to bet on myself.
I think that's the most important thing, is that when you're at your lowest and you don't have a lot, you really appreciate the little things in life. We all take things for granted. And again, that's probably one of the reasons why you got in trouble, why you did these things that you probably shouldn't have done, where it's because you thought, life was good. You're at your highest. You were making all this money.
Yeah.
You took advantage of the little things. You took advantage of the fact that you can actually wake up every day and not be in a prison cell. But then when you got in prison, that's when you realize, like, wow, what I did, was it all worth it? Right.
And it's not.
And I was gonna say, that was actually, I just came in my head now. Like, yeah, so all that stuff you did, it wasn't worth it. Essentially, all that money,
of course not. All that money never lasts. Drug dealing money you steal, anything that comes in a bad energy, for some reason never lasts. You tell me a good thief or somebody, does that money last? Somehow it slips away. Somehow someone steals it, it gets taken away, or you invest in something, it never happens because your mind's not right. You know,
even like,
it doesn't work out.
Even like criminals though, like, have you noticed that every criminal has gotten caught, or killed, or like, you can never fully get away with it. That's the thing. And it's kind of like, it feels like a movie where it's like the bad guy always gets caught, but in reality, it's kind of true. You get into that, you think you have all this power, but I don't know. I just feel like, and that's why it's good to look at God and like look to be like spiritual, because I believe in energy. I believe in all this stuff. I actually, I had a psychologist for a while, just for my anxiety and stuff. And I learned about like being spiritual and connecting with yourself. And, it's really nice that after you got out of prison, your whole life kind of turned around for the better. Actually, one of the first jobs when you got out of prison, was working with Frank Lupo, who, for those who don't know, who are watching, he's a producer and a writer, and he's created such shows as The A-Team, Renegade, Riptide, Wise Guy, and The Hunter. And you had the opportunity to work with him, which is amazing. And again, we talked about this yesterday too. When life gives you opportunities, you still have to work your ass off to maintain that stuff, right? And when you're in prison for all that time, and then you got out and you had this good opportunity, how did it feel for you? And like, how were you able to maintain that and be able to cope with working hard and not doing things for the easy way? How was that?
Well, when I first got out of prison, I, what did I do? Oh my God, I'm trying to think. I think I went back to I used to have a cosmetology license, and I lost my license because my brother never turned it in. It was like $10 to renew it. So, I mean, I literally had no ego. I started sweeping up hair again. I was just like, you can't have an ego. I didn't care. Then I went to as a production assistant job, and I was like a gopher, just running around doing errands for people. But it allowed me to kind of, just open my eyes and see what avenue I wanted to go. And when Melissa got me this job, it was great. I mean, he totally yelled at me, fucking screamed, fucking, where's the dailies? And I didn't know, no one taught me. I wasn't ready for that job, but I did it. And I got over the scream, I just kept going, and that's what we have to do. You have to just keep going. When you're at your lowest, when you're able to be grateful, that opens the door for God to work in your life. Instead of bitching and complaining, just stop. If I had to give any advice, and just say, you know what, I have these things, and these things are enough to work on. I think a lot of people who are selling right now, or, would be, it would be helpful to them. And using drugs right now, be very careful. Like I said, people cut it with just anything right now just to make $1. It's really sad.
Yeah, absolutely. And even for example, when you mentioned that when you first got out, you were kind of sweeping floors, and you were kind of, I guess, essentially doing the dirty work, right? I think in life, whenever you're working even when you had to do that, right, it's propelled you to where you are now, which is doing so great. You even have this amazing Love Me Nutrition, that company you have as well. You got so many things going on, which I'm very proud of you for that. You got a book coming out. We're going to talk about all that stuff too soon, but so many things that are going well for you. So, I think the main message too that I'm trying to portray with what I'm trying to say to you right now, because I tend to ramble on a lot, but what I'm trying to say is that you do all the dirty work in life, but it's much more rewarding, right? But do you ever get these times in your life when you kind of get that urge where it's like, oh, you know what? If I can sell one more thing, make that extra 100 grand, like just that one more time, like, do you ever get those kind of, I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but do you ever get those urges sometimes?
Yeah, of course. Of course. Like, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to just pocket,
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars just by taking this and giving it to this. Of course, instead of just hustling and dealing with websites and e-commerce and people and social media and like to sell a vitamin, to sell nutrition or all the work that I've done, to write a book. And yeah, I mean, everyone wants the easy way out, but the easy way out is a dead end. So,
Exactly.
I don't think it's an urge at all, because I've learned more, and
Good.
like in prison, dude, I was like, they handed me a what are those fucking mow lawn or things? What are they called?
Lawnmowers, yeah.
Lawnmower, yeah. They handed me a
A mow
lawnmower.
lawnner.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. And the whatever,
Weed
it's like,
the weed whackers.
yes, a weed whacker. I mean, Jesus Christ. And I was like a janitor and like I worked in the kitchen with Heidi, but like I had a lot of jobs in prison. Like coming out and sweeping hair, that was easy. I did it with a smile. I was listening to music. I looked cute. Like I had makeup on. Like we have so much right now. We look about like I have clothes. I have jewelry I can wear. I've got coffee I can pour. Like I have
The
car
coffee in the Hawaii mug.
yeah, dude. Like I have so much abundance around me. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm married. I've got friends. I've got, and that's the thing. We have to be grateful for what we have. I don't look at making that $100,000. I want to work hard and I want to build something because the other stuff is like quicksand. So there's really no temptation there anymore.
I really like that. Yeah. But and talking about all the good now, which is now this is exciting stuff. I can't wait to talk about. You got a book coming out, which let's get into that first. Your book, first off, when's it coming out and what can people expect about this book and what's it going to entail?
So the book is not on its way to come out. I mean, I've written it. I wrote it with Sarah Shepard from Pretty Little Liars.
Nice.
She helped me. Yeah, she's amazing. And we actually were, working on trying to get this into a television series. So that's what inspired us to write the book. I mean, I've been writing the book a long time, but I didn't know how to write a book. So now I know how to write a book. Like I've put so many years where people are like, oh, I forgot about that thing. You're still writing that book? And I'm like, yeah, fuck off. I'm still writing it.
Leave me alone. I'm still writing it.
Yeah, like you might forget about it or you don't believe in me. I don't care as long as I believe in myself. Like,
Yeah.
So I did finish it. I turned it in. I have interest from a publishing company, so I'm just leaving it there, leaving it with God. And we'll see when it comes out, but it's done. And I feel really good about it.
I'm so excited when that comes out. I'm so excited. And you also
I'm gonna throw a party. I'll bet you.
You said I was invited. I can't wait for that. And like I said,
when it gets published, I'm throwing a party.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm coming down. I told you yesterday I'm coming down to LA in the next couple weeks. So that's gonna be fun.
Awesome.
I'm going there, so it's gonna give me a lot different for me, but it's gonna be a big experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So right before I just hopped on this podcast, I looked at my phone and there was some followers and I was like, nobody follows me. Like, why do I have like 6 followers in a row? And then one of my friends texted me. She's like, oh, you were amazing in Vice. And I was like, how? Like, you haven't seen it yet. It's on Monday. And she's like, no, I have the app. So she's seen the episode already. Like, I haven't even seen it yet. So
I didn't know it was yeah, it's on Monday.
I had no idea. So I guess people are watching it.
Wow. Well, I mean, thanks for telling me that, because I'm definitely gonna watch it right after we get off the phone, because I might as well.
I'm not. I'm scared.
Oh, come on. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be awesome. That must have been a fun experience still doing that though.
Yeah, God. It was in the middle of COVID and it was like, I don't know, just like, it was a lot. It was like ripping the Band-Aid off, I feel like, because you're always so scared. Well, me, it's like going through this, you get scared of judgment, judgment of yourself. How do I look? I'm fat. I look white. It was like, am I going to sound this? Am I going to offend somebody? Am I going to offend my mother? Am I going to offend my ex-boyfriend? Am I going to be a disgrace to my family talking about it? There's a lot on me. And are people going to judge me? I'm a mother. I have got 2 kids. I don't really care about me, but like my children, so I felt like I jumped out of a plane, and I'm hoping the parachute opens,
And I hope it does. But listen, at the end of the day, you know yourself best. And from what you told me today, this was a great experience, honestly. And like, you just opened up a lot, and I really appreciate being very open and about your whole experience, because not many people have the courage to do that. This takes what you just did takes a lot of courage just to even open up about, because a lot of people keep it inside, and then they don't know who to turn to. And sometimes they're not, like, at the end of the day, everyone has a story. My mom always says that everyone has a story, and it's nothing to judge or to knock. We learn from these things. I learn from you. You learn from someone else. We're all in this together, because it's not a perfect world. And I feel like we should all take something from everybody. But just knowing now that you're living this, like, essentially like a fairy tale life now. You have 2 beautiful children. You have this, again, the Love Me Nutrition thing. If you want to maybe plug that where people can follow, maybe before we end that off.
Yeah, it's lovemenutrition.com, and it's really great, catchy little names, supplements, and we're really building the brand out. It's a lot of work. I'm working on it with my brother Greg, and we're really excited. There's such a good we have a good plan coming up. So
nice. I
wait.
can't
It's really good.
I'll put in the link description below so people can purchase and check out the website and your pages. And my last question for you to end off the show is, what was your favorite part about our interview today?
I would say all the freezes in our. I'm just kidding.
Adam, I love the way your Wi-Fi sucked. That was the best part.
Yeah, no, I love, but no, honestly, it's like we had so many like technical problems. I love that we just kept going and we smiled along the way. And I think, I appreciate, you having me on, because like I said, to go through all of this, and that's why I go into the prisons, and that's why I talk to kids, and that's why I encourage them not to give up, because if I went through all of this and I didn't share, then why did I go through it?
Yeah.
So we have 2 choices or 3, like you said. You can die, you can go to prison, you can, but like, why not share it? Why not try to help people? And I think what you're doing is what I like about this interview, is that you're sharing a lot of hope to people and kindness. So thank you.
Thanks, Denise. I really appreciate that. And again, thank you for coming on. And I hope to stay in touch, because you're awesome. And hey, I'm going to hold you to that offer about that party. I'm coming.
Yes, for sure.
Thanks, Denise. I appreciate it. We'll chat the next time.
Bye. Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to At the Box Office. I'm your host, Luke Smith. Guys, as always, I just want to thank you so much for watching and loving us and supporting us here at the Up and Adam Show. You all are the absolute best. Now, guys, this is going to be continuing the segment I started last week, or the series I started last week, if you will, about Best Picture nominees that should have won Best Picture. And today I'm going to be talking about one that's probably going to get me a lot of flack from the internet community, but I don't really mind it. So we're going to talk about the 1995 Oscars, which coincides with the 1994 film season, right? The Oscars are at the very beginning of the next year. So the movies that are nominated came out in 1994, but it's the 1995 Oscars. This Oscars is very notorious and almost infamous for having 3 of, arguably you can say, but 3 of the Best Picture nominees that year are some of the best movies ever made. In fact, these 3 movies are some of my all-time favorite movies. If I made a top 20 of films, these movies would be on that list. And those movies are Forrest Gump, Pulp Fiction, and The Shawshank Redemption. Holy crap, that is an amazing list of movies to come out all in the same year and to all be nominated for Best Picture. Now, guys, as you probably know, Forrest Gump won everything. It basically swept the Oscars, except for screenplay, the big 5 Oscars, excuse me. Although it didn't win screenplay, my boy Quentin Tarantino won screenplay for Pulp Fiction, which is actually the subject of this video. So, while I love Forrest Gump, and while I love The Shawshank Redemption, for me, far and away the best movie this year, and one of my all-time favorites, and should have won Best Picture, is Pulp Fiction, the second feature film from Quentin Tarantino. Now, guys, as you know, it is no secret that Quentin Tarantino is one of my all-time favorite directors. I absolutely love the guy's movies. Sure, he's kind of a odd, interesting guy in real life, and he's done some weird things. He likes feet a lot, and he's okay with letting you know that he likes feet a lot in his movies. But honestly, guys, I can get past that because I feel like he is the best writer, director of all time. Now, that's just my opinion, and I know a lot of film nerds agree with me, but I really think so. I think he's fantastic. The way he's kind of revolutionized independent filmmaking. And now he makes kind of big studio movies, but they definitely feel like his own. He still writes the scripts and still finances them. They're just backed by a bigger studio. But as you guys probably don't know, Pulp Fiction was an independent film, and it is the highest grossing independent film, indie film, if you will. I hate that term, but it's the highest grossing indie film of all time. Now, you might be thinking, this is one of the most well-known and loved movies of all time, and it's an indie movie. It was, and it was shot on a really small budget, too. Also, Bruce Willis is in this movie, and he plays a pretty big role, and this was odd for him to take a small project like this on, because he'd done Die Hard in the 80s. He was very, very popular. He was one of the biggest stars in the world at this point, but he loved the script so much he decided to join in. And that's the first thing you got to talk about when you talk about Pulp Fiction, and that is the cast. Now, this movie basically resurrected the career of one John Travolta. Now, John Travolta, he was a heartthrob in the 70s with Grease and Saturday Night Fever and some movie where he plays a cowboy or something. I don't know. He was in a lot of those types of movies. Everybody thought he was hot. Everybody really liked him. He was really talented. He was a good dancer, and he's a pretty good actor. But his career was dormant for a while. And he was in a string of box office failures, and basically people had totally forgotten about him. They thought he was a relic of the 70s, easily forgotten. When that actually wasn't the case. At least for a while it was the case. But then Quentin Tarantino pitched him the idea for Pulp Fiction, and he loved the script, and he cast him as one of the leads in this movie. Now, I will argue that the two leads are Vincent Vega, played by John Travolta, and Jules Winfield, who is my personal favorite character in the movie, played by the amazing Samuel L. Jackson, who you obviously know who that is. He's one of the biggest actors of all time. But him and Tarantino have worked on tons of movies together. And those are the two main characters in the film. Despite the fact that John Travolta was nominated at the Oscars this year, or the year that this came out in 1995, for Best Leading Actor. And then Samuel L. Jackson was nominated for Supporting, even though they were basically on screen the same amount of time and had equal billing. I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's something odd about Oscar campaigns that they can kind of split people up into categories like that. I don't know. That's a whole different topic. But John Travolta is amazing in this movie. This basically resurrected his career. He's funny. He's kind of an idiot. But when it's time to get down to business, he's really intimidating and can take care of business. And basically, guys, to give you the plot of Pulp Fiction, it's kind of hard because this movie is revolutionary, and arguably this is why it is so fondly remembered by everyone, myself included, is because it's one of the first movies to utilize non-linear storytelling. Things will kind of happen out of sequence. Someone will die in one scene, and then near the end of the movie, that character just shows back up with no explanation. Quentin Tarantino decided to tell this dark, gritty, but also pretty freaking hilarious crime thriller comedy. It's probably a black comedy, I'd say, but it's got a lot of elements of crime thrillers in there as well. But he decided to tell the story out of order. He didn't have to do that, but he did it, and it worked so well for this movie. Also, people might say this movie's tonally disjointed, and yeah, but that's kind of the point. Some scenes, like I said, will be straight-out comedies that last for about 20 minutes. Then some scenes will be absolutely horrific and brutal and hard to watch. The pawn shop scene, anybody? My gosh, that is tough to watch. But again, guys, what Quentin Tarantino did with this movie in terms of storytelling and screenwriting is just absolutely revolutionary. I mean, he changed the game, and people have tried to imitate this style of nonlinear storytelling over the years, and they haven't been able to replicate it. Also, something impressive about Quentin Tarantino's script, which is the only thing from this movie that won an Oscar, sadly. I mean, very deservedly. The script is amazing, but I think it should have won Best Picture and Best Director, too. And Best Supporting for Samuel L. Jackson, actually, now that I think about it. It's kind of insane that he didn't win. But something else amazing about this script is that except for a couple key scenes, for the most part, this movie is just people sitting around and talking, driving and talking, eating and talking. Like, it's just people just chilling and talking. And the fact that this movie, which is almost 3 hours long and consists of little to no action, the fact that this movie is as good as it is and is so darn entertaining to watch, even to rewatch. I've watched this movie multiple times, despite it being all dialogue, is a testament to Quentin Tarantino's writing. No one writes dialogue like Quentin Tarantino. I feel like most people can agree with that. He is a better writer of dialogue than I think anyone in the history of filmmaking. He is absolutely fantastic. Also, you got to talk about the rest of the cast here too. I already talked about the two leads, John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson. But this was also Uma Thurman's big breakout role. Now, she'd been in some things before this, but this really put her on the map. I mean, the poster for this movie with Uma Thurman lying there with the cigarette in her hand is absolutely iconic. It's one of the best movie posters of all time. And she's really good in the role. I won't tell you much about her performance. She's not in the movie that much, but she made a big impression. And this launched her into stardom. And later, of course, she was in Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. I actually think she should have won Best Supporting Actor for this movie. She was nominated, but didn't win. And I think that's kind of upsetting. I think Uma Thurman was really freaking good in the movie. So, and then, guys, after that, the cast is absolutely stacked. You've got frequent Quentin Tarantino collaborators like Tim Roth, who I love, and Harvey Keitel, who is probably one of the most popular actors of all time. All kinds of people. You've got Ving Rhames in here as a evil crime boss. Again, that's all I'll say about his character because a lot happens with him. And then I mentioned already Bruce Willis is in the movie as a boxer. Bruce, his name is Butch Coolidge, I'm pretty sure is his name. And he is also a pretty big main character in the film. And the list just kind of goes on and on and on. There's all kinds of really good performances in this movie. And Eric Stoltz is another one. He plays a drug dealer in a really funny role. Those were probably some of the funniest scenes in the movie. The earlier scenes with him. There's a really tense moment with him later on that involves Uma Thurman. Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but I really think you guys should check this out if you haven't. It's Pulp Fiction. It's one of the best movies of all time, widely considered to be. And yes, I love Forrest Gump, and I love The Shawshank Redemption. Those are also two of the best movies of all time. But Pulp Fiction just kind of stands above those films, in my opinion. And it's very remarkable and still holds up even today. I absolutely love Pulp Fiction. Guys, thank you as always for watching. If you want to check out Pulp Fiction, you can probably rent that somewhere. I don't believe it might be on Prime Video, but other than that, I'm not totally sure where it's at. I had to rent it last time I watched it, but it's been a little bit, so I don't know if that's been changed or what. But anyway, guys, thank you as always for watching The Up and Adam Show. Be on the lookout for more episodes of The Up and Adam Show every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Exactly, 8 p.m. on the dot on Sunday nights. So, guys, thank you as always for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye.